Good day, students. Today we will be having our lesson 3, which is about the normal distribution. So I decided to chunk lessons regarding normal distribution into 3. So you expect 3 related videos regarding normal distribution. So for lesson 3, we will just be discussing more of what is normal distribution, no? To better understand the next lessons. So once again, I am Mr. Romel Antonio Jr. The best way to describe to you a normal distribution is the way I did the observation. No? One morning kasi, ang class ko kasi that day is 7:30 a.m. Math class yan. Ang ginawa ko, I recorded the number of students entered the classroom by 7 a.m., 7:05, 7:10, hanggang 7:30. Ang inobserbahan ko, what time kaya sila napasok, knowing that ang class namin is 7:30. And this is how it turned out. It turned out na marami sa kanila ang nakarating ng 7:15. No? Parang yung bunch ng student dumating na by 7:15. By 7 a.m., konti pa lang, yan, parami hanggang sumapit yung 7:15. Tapos, after 7:15, paunti yung dumating hanggang 7:30. So, this is true. No, pag in-observe natin na isa lang yung minsan sobrang agang pumasok, tapos isa lang din naman, or pailan-ilan, dalawa lang din naman, pailan-ilan lang din naman yung sobrang late pumasok. And this distribution is the best example for normal distribution. No, yung time natin sa scenario na ito. So marami naman tayong pwedeng maging example for normal distribution. We can also have the birth weights of the babies in the baby boom data set. So probably ito yung mga pinanganak na baby after the World War. Maganda rin pag-aralan kung mayroong effect ba yung World War, no, sa pagsilang ng mga bata, kung anong magiging average weights nila. So it showed na normal distribution siya. Yung brain sizes of 40 students. Normally doon lang umiikot sa 900,000 yung brain sizes, no, ng mga bata. Very few naman yung sobrang liit ng brain, very few din naman yung sobrang laki, no. Next, yung petal length of a type of flower. You know what flower is this? So most of the flowers naman most of the petals naman normal lang yung laki nila or yung haba nila. Very few lang din yung sobrang liit, very few lang din naman yung sobrang laki ng petal length, no? That's exactly what normal distribution is. Serum level, measurements from a healthy volunteers. So what exactly is normal distribution? So yun yung description, yun yung talagang pinaka-practical description ng normal distribution. Now let's define this normal distribution. At this lesson, our objective will be to illustrate a normal distribution and its properties. Dapat malaman natin yung normal distribution, kung ma-illustrate natin siya, the way I did it earlier, and malaman natin yung mga properties niya, so that we will be able to use this one when we go to statistics na. No? So please, pay attention. So, thought to ponder, no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, again, no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. So I know we are at the middle of the third quarter, so medyo parang nangangapa tayo dahil pahirap yung mga topic. So, just move ka lang ng konti, one step at a time sa mga lesson, and you are still ahead of everyone who isn't trying. Marami rin kasi talagang hindi nakakapag-aral, hindi so make a slow progress, make a progress, even if it's better kung mas mabilis yung progress mo. Depends on your pacing. So this is an example of graph of frequency. So kung titingnan niyo yung letter A dyan, so 100 women lang. So if we have few respondents, so magiging few lang din yung ating magiging respective options sa mga sagot nila. Kasi ito is heights of adult women. Yan yung mga height nila. So ilang possible height lang yan. So we have only 7 possible heights for 100 women. So kapag tinaasan natin, no, yung bilang ng ating respondents, in-increase natin, yung class width natin, maliliit siya siya, ibig sabihin yung interval kasi natin, magiging madami na yung options natin eh, na ano, na height. Kasi dumadami yung respondents natin. So, kung mapapansin nyo, dami ng options kasi nakakuha tayo ng extremely short and extremely tall adult women. So, lumiliit ngayon yung ating, nagdi-decrease tuloy yung ating weight. Pero, nag-increase yung ating sample size. If we continue to increase our size, so sample size natin, mas dumadami yung option, the more it goes closer to normal distribution of the population. So pag sinabing population, lahatan na yan, no? All the target of specific research or specific characteristics. So yan. So that's now comprises the normal distribution. So the question is, what is a normal distribution? So when you say normal distribution, it is a continuous, symmetric, and bell-shaped distribution of a variable. So when you say continuous, ibig sabihin, we will just be talking about continuous data. No? So kung continuous data natin, yung magiging variable natin dito will be continuous variable. So wala tayong makikitang gaps dyan. There will be no gaps, just like this one. Kasi ito, whole number lang yan, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is for discrete random variable. So we are now in continuous random variable. So ang gagamitin natin ngayon doon is the normal distribution. It's symmetric, pantay yan, kaliwat kanan. Bell-shaped, kasi denser siya sa gitna, tapos less dense sa magkabilang dulo. It is sometimes called the bell curve or the Gaussian curve, named after the mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss. Sa kanya nanggaling yung pangalan. It is described by two parameters. So para ma-describe natin yan, we describe it using the mean, which is the mu symbol, Greek letter mu, which is the mean of the distribution, meaning the average. So nasa gitna. Yung value na to. Ito yung ating mean. The standard deviation of the distribution, which is the sigma. Alam mo yan. So yung standard deviation, yung how far are the values towards the mean. Yung ating syntax standard deviation. Changing the values and alter the position and shapes. Changing the values of the mean and the standard deviation, alter the position and the shapes of the distribution. Paano yun nangyari? So, later I'll show you figures. Now, to express if some variable are normally distributed, we call it, or we represent it through this data, through this way. If x is normally distributed with the mean of mu and standard deviation of sigma, we write it this way. So whatever is the variable, ganyan mo siya ganyan. Lalagyan mo lang yung value ng mean tsaka yung variance, magiging variance na yan. So the mu and the mean and the standard deviation are the parameters of the distribution. The probability, ito yun naman yung formula ng probability density. So mamaya na yan. What's important is ito. So to name a normal distribution, dapat alam mo yung kanyang mu at alam mo yung kanyang variance coming from the square of the standard deviation. Let's now go through the properties of a normal distribution. Ano ba yung mga properties nila? A normal distribution curve is bell-shaped, denser at the center and less dense in the tails. No, anong dahilan bakit siya denser sa gitna? It's because here is where the mean falls. Diyan yung means natin. So, ibig sabihin, dapat maraming data na nandiyan kasi that will define our mean. Thirdly, the mean, median, and mode are equal and are located at the center of the distribution. So, nandiyan ang ating mean. Dahil yan ang pinaka-denser. Of course, dahil ito ay symmetrical, based from the definition, left and right, this comprises the middle. This is also the median. No? Yeah. And this is also our mode. Bakit yan ang ating magiging mode? Because that is the highest frequency. No? Highest frequency natin. So that's the mode. The curve is symmetric about the mean. Yan, symmetric siya sa mean, which is equivalent to saying that its shape is the same on both sides of the vertical line crossing through the center. So 50%, 50% yan. Area yan. Fourth characteristic, the curve is continuous. That is, there are no gaps or holes. For each value of x, there is corresponding value of y. Kasi nga, itong ating variables dito ay continuous. So, lahat ng mga decimal yan, meron tayong makukuha mga values yan. That's why it's called continuous. The curve is continuous. There's no gap. Letter E, normal distributions are defined by two parameters, the mean and the standard deviation. Yan. I-observe natin, no? Kasi yung white natin na normal distribution, that is with a sigma. Nakita naman natin, no? Yung red, ito yung kanyang mean. Yung white, ito rin yung kanyang mean. So their mean is equal. So the mean of mean sub 1 is equal to mean sub 2. But if you observe, medyo scatter yung red natin. Medyo scatter yung data natin dito. That results for this area, yung area na itong ating first normal distribution, yung kulay puti, falls on the tail. Dito siya napunta. No? Etong mga data na to, napunta siya dito. That is because the standard deviation of our second, or the red normal distribution is twice the standard deviation. So we all know that standard deviation is defined as the variation of the value. So kung gaano kalalayo yung data. So kung malalayo yung data, ibig sabihin most of the value will not merely fall on the mean. No, hindi siya lahat magfo-fall between the range of the mean. No? So magi-scatter siya. Scatter. That causes maging slow, what do you call this? Less slopey yung ating magiging normal distribution. Ayan. So let's observe more sa mga values na nandito. So ayan, i-observe muna natin itong, lagyan natin siya ng letter A, B, C, at D. Observe muna natin si A at si B. So if you observe, parehas sila ng mean. Nakita nyo, mean niya nasa 100. Pero yung isa kasi, mas mataas yung standard deviation niya kaysa dun sa isa. Meaning to say, mas magkakalayo yung data. That's why, medyo mas mababa yung kanyang medyo scattered yung variable niya, kalat-kalat. Hindi katulad nito, na makikita mo na siya sa isang direction or mostly at the center lang sa kanyang mean. Now, pag kinumpare naman natin itong C at D, kung mapapansin natin, parehas sila ng kung mapapansin natin, magkaiba sila ng mean. Medyo complicated siya. Dito man tayo sa A at C para mas maintindihan natin. Si A at C, parehas sila ng mean. Parehas sila ng standard deviation. Tingnan nyo, parehas yung curve nila. Doon lang sila ipon-ipon lang kasi ganun lang kalalayo yung data nila. Pero yung mean nito is 100. Eto, medyo nag-move siya dito sa bandang 130. Kasi yun yung mean natin. This is the changes on the mean. Ito naman kabila, letter B at letter D, if i-observe natin, parehas yung mean nila. Yan, ganun din. Parehas naman yung mean nila, no? Parehas yung mean, nasa 100. Kaya lang, yung ating standard deviation nag-triple, no? From 5 to 15. So yan, hampi na siya. Now, on the letter C and letter D, kung makikita natin, parehas silang nagbago sa mean. So, ito nasa 130, ito nasa 110, nagkaroon ng movement. At the same time, yung kanyang standard deviation, mas kalat yung data natin dito sa letter D. So, medyo mas mas mababa yung kanyang curve. Yan. So, yun yung mangyayari if we have altered or if we make changes between the mean and standard deviation. The total area under a normal distribution curve is equal to 1 or 100%. Why? Kasi sabi nga natin dito, buong population to. So it represents the totality ng ating pinag-uusapang parameter. Pinag-uusapan natin na mga tao with sharing the same characteristic. So 100% yan. The area under the curve determines the population. So it helps determining the portion of the population and its probability. So dahil ito ay area, the area, the 100% also determines the area as well as the probability. The probability of people above the average is 50%. Ito yun. Kasi ito yung average natin. Above average is 50%. Below average is also 50%. That is based on our previous definition. No? Kasi symmetrical siya. At saka yung median niya ay nandyan din sa mean. So, gitnang-gitna yan. Another property, the area under the part of a normal curve that lies within one standard deviation. Okay, kung ano man yung standard deviation na yon, so we have to jump only one standard deviation. Kung 5 yan, plus 5 and minus 5 yan. Kung 10 yan, plus and minus 10 sa mean. So, ang kanyang area is 68%. Kapag if we go further to 2 standard deviation, that is 95%. And if we go to 3 standard deviation, yan hanggang dito, hanggang dito lang, so that is already 99.7%. So yung remaining dyan ay above 3 standard deviations na. Yan. So how were we able to compute that? Siyempre gumamit tayo dyan ng integral solutions. Kung paano nga yun. Of course, I won't be asking you to do this one. So, we will make this one easier for you on the next lesson. How good is that rule for real data? Paano ka-fit yung percentages na yun? So, if we are going to have an example, let's say the mean weight of 120 women, ang kanilang mean ay 127.8. And then the standard deviation is 15.5. So if you're going to name our our normal distribution, so suppose that the weight in pounds of women is approximately a normal distribution with the mean of 127.8, check, and a variance of 240.25. So in-square lang natin yung ating standard deviation. O how true is this? So tandaan natin to ha, kung mean natin 127.8 and then 15.5. So this is the actual graph nung ating frequency count ng pounds ng women, ng weights ng women in terms of pounds. So suppose that the weights of the women is normally distributed between 127.8 mean and a variance of 240.25. So if we're going to look for one standard deviation away from the mean, so ang ating kasing standard deviation is equal to 15.5. No? So that's why kung magpa-plus tayo ng 15.5 from 127, kung magma-minus tayo, we will have 112.3, and pag mag-plus naman tayo on the other side, 143.3. So if we're going to count the number or the frequency there, so you'll have 68%, sabi dito sa rule natin, 68% dapat yan kasi one standard deviation. Kapag kinumpute natin yan from 120 women, that's approximately 82 women. In fact, ito sa ating data, there are actually 79 women fall between 112.3 up to 143.3. So, ang lapit na niya, no? 82, 79. So, that's how good, that's how fit this is normal distributions property, yung 1 standard deviation, 2 and 3 standard deviation. Tayo natin kung 2 standard deviation. So, dalawang 15.5. So, so that means 15.5 plus 15.5, that's 30.1. No, 30.1. 15.5 plus 15.5, that's 31. So, magmaminus lang tayo ng 31 at mag-a-add tayo ng 31. So, yan yung ating 2 standard deviation. Ang sabi dito, that's 95%. So, kung 95% ng 120 is 114 women, how good is that? So, there's actually 115 women that fall within this range of pounds. Pwede nyo yan i-try, bibilangin nyo yan, yung mga kung saan siya nakatapat. So, it goes down to 115. And, mapapansin naman natin, 3 standard deviation away, that's 99.7%, which is 119.6 or approximately 120 na. So, actually, lahat na yun. Nakita naman natin yung that's how good, or that's how true, normal distributions property with the real data. Again, one standard deviation below and above the mean, that's 68% of the data. Two standard deviation is 95%, and three standard deviation is 99.7% of the data. So those are all concepts about normal distribution. Let us check your understanding by answering the following questions. Take note, screenshot, and then write your answer on a piece of paper, or you can go directly to the Google Classroom and write your answer on the portal provided for activity number 4. I think it's activity number 4. Okay, that's 10 those are 10 questions. So I hope you get to have a capture of that. Pause, review the video, and just feel free to enjoy the characteristic of video recording. Pwedeng i-pause, pwedeng i-replay, pwedeng i-rewind, pwedeng fast forward. You can go where you wanna go, which part can. So that will be all for the first part. There are 2 other parts. Please keep in touch. Bye!